The 10 types of victim, the narcissist hoovers. I make repeated mention of how we always come back for more. Hoovering serves several purposes. Primarily, it is a means of knowing that we have you under control. But remember, for lesser and mid-range narcissists, they are unaware that that is the purpose of doing the hoover. It is also a means of extracting fuel from you. Again, lesser and mid-range narcissists do not know this. It is also a means of gaining character traits and residual benefits. For example, contacting you to borrow money, contacting you to use your lawnmower, for instance, and get information from you. And therefore, a hoover caters to the prime aims, fuel and control, character traits, and residual benefits. Hoovers can occur at any time, and in separate work I'll be explaining to you what causes them and why hoovers happen at particular times and not others, as a range of applicable considerations. The narcissistic mindset is such that you belong to us. For the majority of narcissists, lesser and mid-range, this is an unconscious mindset. You are seen as an object, a possession, something that we can access time and time again. Lacking boundary recognition and emotional empathy, we see nothing wrong with contacting you after a gap of years. We see nothing wrong with contacting you if you are in a new relationship or if we are in a relationship. We see nothing wrong with contacting you even though there was a huge argument just 2 months ago. The reason for this is that the narcissism creates in the mind of the narcissist eminently reasonable reasons for contacting you. Indeed, the narcissist will just contact you without even necessarily knowing why it is being done. And if you ask them, why are you contacting me after all of this time, dependent upon the school of narcissists that you are dealing with, you'll receive a response along the lines of, you just popped into my head and I was wondering how you were doing, or I thought it'd been some time since we'd spoken, or I'd heard you'd not been well, even though that may not have been the case, of course, and I wanted to find out how you were doing. Sometimes it is with regard to recovering something. I seem to remember that I left the complete works of H.G. Tudor with you, and I wanted to get them back from you. And that will be used as the basis and excuse for the contact. There are lots of different reasons that the narcissism creates to allow the narcissist to justify hoovering you. But what drives it? Underneath, the real reason for the hoover is to assert control over you and gather fuel. Sometimes these hoovers will be benign. Sometimes they will be malign, dependent upon your status, whether you're black or you're white, what else is happening in the fuel matrix, the level of interactions that are going on. And they can range from a simple inquiry as to how you're doing, asking if you'd like to meet up, perhaps suggesting burying the hatchet and clearing the air. Sometimes, as mentioned, it'll be about the recovery of property or money. It might be something appertaining to the children, completely trivial. Have you got Jemima's lunchbox there? Other times, it will be to lash out at you. Stop going around and telling lies about me to other people when the narcissist has learned that you're trying to counter the narcissist smear campaign. There are lots of different reasons. The hoover also serves a purpose for ascertaining how the land lies for potential further machinations. Again, lesser and mid-range do not consciously do this. Hoovers are also a means of sometimes preventing you from moving forward, a means of hindering your understanding, a method of reinforcing our superiority and dominance. It serves these functions and many more. Hoovers take place throughout the dance with our kind, but most of you will associate them with the aftermath, i.e. the period following your escape from the narcissist, or more likely, when you have been disengaged from. When we look at the hoover in such a scenario, when we come back for more, we do so essentially for one of the three following reasons. 1, to draw you back into the relationship again, so that the whole narcissistic cycle can begin once more, i.e. we make you our girlfriend again, or we try again at the marriage, or resurrect a friendship if it's a non-intimate scenario. 2, to punish you. Again, that is being driven by an unconscious desire to achieve that as part of control. We don't want a formal relationship again, but we want to assert control over you and do so in a malign way to punish you, to remind you of how worthless you are regarded by us. And we aim to draw negative fuel from you. Remember, in the mind of the narcissist, it is entirely justified to take such a step against you. Even from your perspective, there is no such justification. You must always keep in mind the presence of the narcissistic perspective. Thirdly, it might be to draw some positive fuel from you and assert control. Again, we don't want the formal relationship to start again, but we unconsciously know that you provide delicious hoover fuel, so we keep coming back for more. We do not do enough to seek to recompense the formal relationship, but we will certainly look to assert control over you because we have to, and at the same time obtain fuel from you. Indeed, there are instances where we instinctively know that we have control over you, but we want fuel from you. So the starting point is that you may come up on the radar and the narcissism ascertains that you're not under control and ascertains that the Hoover execution criteria are met, and more about that on another occasion, so that a Hoover can take place. And through the first assertion of control, direct you're hoovered, and we assert control over you. We also gain fuel into the bargain, but that in essence is a bonus. On other occasions, we know that you are under control, but perhaps because other appliances are not functioning in the way they ought to, we need to gain fuel from you. And therefore, in such instances, you will be approached in a benign way to draw fuel from you. We know you're under control, we need your fuel. Once that's obtained, the hoover will end. It might come back the following day. It might be 2 weeks, it might be 6 months before you're hoovered again, but that depends upon a range of different criteria, which I will talk about on another occasion. It's often this third manoeuvre, which is a benign follow-up hoover, which often confuses people. You understand how we might hoover you to try and draw you back into the relationship, and in a sense, you might be able to understand us lashing out at you, being nasty, because, after all, we've treated you badly, we are now seen as a grade A bastard, and therefore, whilst you won't agree with it, you understand that that is why we lash out at you, because we're just plain nasty. However, why make the effort to come and obtain further fuel from you and then withdraw again? It may well be the case that other appliances are not functioning as they should. So we come back to you because, of course, we own you in our minds, and therefore we can obtain that fuel from you. It might be that there's a golden opportunity presented by you that's too good to resist. You make it easy for us to hoover you. And also, the fact is that one of the chief factors is the role that you happen to be allocated post-escape or post-disengagement. The application of the benign follow-up hoover, which does not seek the restoration of the formal relationship, relies on you conforming to a particular role and the fuel which flows from it. There are many different roles which can be assigned to you at this point, but here are 10 of them. Number 1, the wish you well. Whenever we hoover you, you ask with your well-known decency how we are faring. You ask about our progress, work-wise, our health, and about all other matters. You do so with that goodness of heart and nature for which you, as an empathic person, are famed. And, whilst there is no torrent of raging emotion, your kindness and compassion still fuel us. You may well have largely moved on from us, but you are unable to sever all ties. You know not to go back, but you cannot help, but always want to hear that we are doing well, and that you can accordingly wish us well. Number 2, the optimist. This contact gives you hope that there just might be a return to the golden period. You do not push it, since you know how this can cause us to react, but you are receptive to our advance, pleased to hear from us. In fact, delighted, and you engage with enthusiasm, trying to keep your pulsating heart under control. You see each time we drop by as the possibility that this time we might just sweep you in our arms and take you back once more. Each time you are disappointed, but this does not dim your hope and optimism. Perhaps next time will be the time. Number 3, the guilty. You feel bad that the relationship did not work out and blame yourself as much, if not more, than us for its demise. Your status as a love devotee becomes corrupted, meaning that you still believe that love will conquer all. And driven by the corrupting influence of emotional thinking, you spend your time apologising for what you did that was wrong and that which you did not get right. Of course, we will do nothing to cause you to think any different, maintaining that it was of course your fault and rejecting any accountability on our half, whilst enjoying your self-flagellation, which always rises to the surface whenever we get in touch. Number 4, the Naval Gazer. You are obsessed with understanding who you are and regard our interaction as an integral part of that. You want our views and opinions on your introspection, and use any contact from us as an opportunity to invite us to comment about you, no matter how brutal it might be. You believe that you are unable to establish who you truly are without understanding the nature of your relationship with us, and each occasion that we reach out to you again provides you with an opportunity to engage for the purpose of finding these answers. Your reliance on us is both edifying and fueling. Number 5, the healer. You will not let go of the notion that we can be fixed, and any interaction between us results in you resuming the mantle of being that healer, putting our interests ahead of your own, with the inevitable fuel which arises from your compassionate and kind-hearted behaviour. Number 6, the nymph. You hate us for what we did, but the sex was oh so good, and you cannot resist the lure of a late-night text for some sexual interaction, in the hope that it might lead to a tussle between the sheets again. You maintain that all you want is sexual gratification, and adopting this stance is a form of payback for us. But you are engaging with us through sexting and flirtation provides us with the hoover fuel that we desire. Number 7, the tourniquet. You are not a tourniquet, but you need one. You cannot work out what has happened, and every engagement is a fuel-filled questioning session as to why we do what we did, why did we hurt you, why did we say those things, why did we mess around, and so forth. The pain remains raw, and the fuel that flows from it is too good to resist. Number 8, the old reliable. You know you should ignore us, but you cannot. Those messages we send are like a nagging itch, and you need to scratch so badly. Of course, we instinctively know this, and we regard you as a reliable source of hoover fuel. All we need to do is send a message to you, and you'll respond in some form or another. You cannot help yourself. You have not implemented a solid and robust no-contact regime, always keeping the door open to allow our return. Number 9, the contender. You want back in, and you are going to prove to us how damn fine you are, and what an arsehole we are for letting you go in the first place. You will tell us just how good you will be for us, what you will do, and how we will never get anybody better than you, as you do your utmost to convince us that you should come back into our arms. Even if we rebuff you, you will not give up, because your desire to be our intimate partner is huge. And so with it is the fuel that you provide. Number 10, the burning oil well. Your flow of fuel just cannot be shut off. Red Adair would never be able to snuff out the flames and cap the oil well. You're angry, seething, furious at the way that you have been treated, and you hate us. You absolutely hate us. Each time we hoover you, you seize the opportunity to vent your anger at us, insulting us, labelling us, and going on like some crazed harpy. You think that you're wounding us, but you're not, because you do not understand the nature of the dynamic, You do not realise that all you're doing is providing the challenge fuel. Whilst we may argue back, we are doing so to assert control over you, and at the same time drinking of your delicious fuel. Eventually, even though you will not back down, we will just walk away. We have drunk of your fuel, and now we assert control by ignoring you. Do you recognise yourself in any of those descriptions?